Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the pit, the place that houses all the crazies and the most diabolical characters that you've ever seen. And today, the next person that we're going to be throwing into the pit is none other than the crazy, egotistical nut job, the world's biggest douchebag himself, Homelander. Now, when it comes to Homelander, he's not your average pit candidate. This guy has done so many despicable things that we have a running joke here at Keepin It Comic that it will take over an hour to go through all the evil things that he's done. And let's be honest, that's downplaying it. So instead of putting it all together like I normally do, I decided to categorize Homelander's feats, specifically into 4 categories to help drive the point home, with the last category being the worst of them all. So stick around for that one, because it's a doozy. Welcome back to Keepin It Comic. I'm GR. Now, the first category is I'm just messing with you. This denotes times when Homelander just plainly plays with the lives of people around him, manipulating them to a fault, basically being a downright bully. A very good example was during some of the last scenes of season 3 when the remaining members of the Seven were planning for Soldier Boy's invasion, and Homelander tells everyone that he doesn't need them, going as far as telling Ashley to remove her wig to reveal the horrific alopecia that she's been dealing with. Yep, I'm just messing with you. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What about the time that he wanted to teach his son Ryan how to fly? Homelander took the little boy, who was obviously scared of heights, to the roof of his house and told him to jump. Little dude understandably got scared and started begging him, "Don't make me do it." And for the first time in the series, Ryan called Homelander Dad. This made Homelander proud as a father. And for a minute, I thought things were gonna be okay until the man smiled and pushed him off the roof and watched him fall flat on his face. Yep, I'm just messing with you. And that's just how Homelander treats his family, but he also has a special place for his teammates of the Seven. Take Starlight, for example. He and Starlight have always had a tenuous relationship. At the time that he started strangling her in the elevator because she refused to unalive someone, and then he even pierced his hand into her belly. That's just physical pain. In season 3, knowing how uncomfortable he makes Starlight and how terrified she is of him, Homelander declares to the world that he and Starlight are in love, holding her close, and even giving their relationship its very own hashtag, Homelight. This was legit all done just to embarrass Starlight and just show how insignificant she was to him. But that's only the beginning of Starlight being bashed by Homelander. There's so much more to talk about. Perhaps one of the worst things that Homelander did to a member of the Seven was what he did to the Deep. I mean, for the longest time, he has made fun of Deep, calling him stupid, vilifying his intelligence, and making jest of his gills. Yet, I don't think anything compares to the time when he told Deep to eat Timothy. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Deep can talk to marine life, and he sees every sea creature as a kindred spirit, some more than others. I mean, we all saw what he did to an octopus at Herogasm. Yeah, that's just too much. Homelander knew these things about Deep. Worst of all, he knew Tim the octopus was Deep's friend, and he forced him to eat him anyways. Deep even says that Tim was begging for his life, yet Homelander made him do it anyways, just to mess with him. He's done worse to Queen Maeve. He exposed knowledge of her personal life to the general public, constantly bullied and tortured her, and then he kidnapped her and kept her underground, and then told her that he was gonna harvest her eggs, not because he has to, but just because he wanted to. Now, this brings us to category number 2. A category that I like to call the disgusting. Now, this section highlights all the truly disgusting things that Homelander has done to people short of killing them. A good example is what he did to Butcher's wife. Yeah, dude invited her into his office and then raped her, not only ruining her life, but also ruining Butcher's life, as well as siring a son that gets born into a messed up situation. Disgusting. Probably one of the most disgusting aspects of Homelander at first was his relationship with Madeline Stillwell. She was his love interest and the only one able to calm him down in season 1. The disgust starts from things Homelander does to get close to her, like spying on her through the walls while she breastfeeds her baby and listening in on her conversations. Yet, after finding out that she's been lying to him, he kills her in the presence of her baby, mind you, in a very gruesome way where he shoots lasers right into her eyes. But that's not the disgusting part. The disgusting part was after killing her. He went to her house, took a bottle of her prepared baby formula that she made with her milk, heated it up, and then drank it. Disgusting. But perhaps some of the most disgusting moments came from his relationship with Stormfront. A very good example is when he and Stormfront, after hassling a bunch of guys, Homelander smashes a guy's head in and then proceeds to have an affectionate time with Stormfront while covered in the blood of the people that he killed. But if you think that's disgusting, ponder this for a second. Somehow Homelander is an ordained minister. Yeah, in his spare time after doing a bunch of these deeds, Homelander goes to baptize people and even leads them to God. I'm not even gonna say disgusting, I'm just gonna ask, how does that work? Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, a sub to the channel will be greatly appreciated. This is a new series, and we have a bunch of videos coming out for characters that you wouldn't believe. So subscribe if you don't wanna miss anything. All right, so this next category highlights Homelander's craziness in the way that I call collateral damage. These are for people who suffered due to missions Homelander got sent to that went extremely wrong. A good example was in season 1 when Homelander was tasked with the mission of working with the United States military. To handle some terrorists, Homelander goes into a building and kills everyone in there. He comes out covered in blood until he sees someone escaping and proceeds to slice that person in half with his eye. Collateral damage. Another time, he orchestrated the release of Compound V into the hands of terrorists so that the villains would emerge and then he could start taking them out, which he did, but not until they sufficiently killed a bunch of people. But none of it compares to what happened in Flight 37 when Homelander and Maeve were tasked to save a passenger plane that had been hijacked by terrorists. Homelander and Maeve arrive at the plane and take out most of the terrorists, but during the process of taking the last one out, Homelander ends up killing both pilots and damaging the plane, and dooming every single passenger on board. Then this man lies to the passengers that he's gonna save them and proceeds to escape down the back. Things get messy and the passengers realize that he's gonna abandon them. So he threatens to laser them. He takes Maeve out the plane and watches as all the passengers plummet to their deaths. Collateral damage. I think the sad part of all of this is that when you look at his face, Homelander felt no remorse. And the only time that he showed emotion was in front of the cameras, where he used the death of the passengers to push his own agenda forward. Collateral damage. This, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to our fourth and final category of Homelander's action, one I named Just Because. This describes times that Homelander killed and injured people just because he could, just because he felt a certain way, and just because it was fun for him. Started from the very first episode when he killed the mayor of Baltimore by slicing his plane in half with his heat vision. The sad part is he destroyed the plane with the mayor's son inside, and this was after he signed a Homelander picture for the boy. Now, although in a different category, that boy was collateral damage. This is only the beginning. I mean, there was a time when Homelander was set to talk to Chelsea, a girl who wanted to jump off a building, and in the middle of talking to Chelsea, Homelander decides to just let her jump. She begs and pleads that she doesn't want to do it anymore, but Homelander forces her to, and we watch as Chelsea falls from the top of a skyscraper with her body shattering into bits, just because. Homelander also kills Supersonic, a good friend of Starlight, when he found out that he and Starlight were planning a mutiny. He took Starlight to the top of the building and showed her his corpse, telling her that that was gonna be Yui, the man that she loved, if she ever thought of crossing him again, and then left her up there on the roof to watch the body. Oy, just diabolical. He damaged the ears of Blind Spot, a blind hero who sees and gets around with his ears. Ironically, that scene was what generated the meme.
Ashley, look at me.
This brother killed Black Noir, his one and only friend, because Noir didn't tell him that Soldier Boy was his father. Watch the man bleeding from his ears and calling him a cripple. And don't forget that he also lasered Marie Moreau in the Gen V series, just because. And over and over and over again, we see Homelander killing people just because he can. And sometimes he stares at them to see the life drain away from their eyes. And you wanna know the worst part? Nothing that I said so far can compare to the potential damage that this man can do. We know for a fact because when Starlight kept blackmailing him with the Flight 37 video, Homelander called her bluff and told her to release it, with the consequences being that he would bring the country to its knees. He would destabilize the US military, disarm the country of its weapons, and he threatened to wipe New York off the face of the earth, and he'll even add Maeve's hometown just for good measure. Once again, just because. And of course, at the end of season 3 with the good old killing of a civilian who threw something at his son, just because. I don't think that there is any question that this brother deserves to be in the pit. All these despicable things that this man has done, it's ridiculous. And honestly, guys, we're kind of just keeping it PG for YouTube. So there you go, you crazy maniac. Say hello to Doctor Strange for me. Be sure to check out the other video in our series here where we talk about Doctor Strange and how this man also deserves to be in the pit. Leave a like on this video, comment down below, subscribe for more on the channel, and until next time, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin It Comic. Bye.